Yes, Jordies, welcome back to another episode. The first thing I want to say, as always, I hope everyone's well. Second thing I want to say, Nick Woltemade is a Geordie. I've heard people calling him Woltemade, Woltemada, Woltemessi. Call him whatever you like, because we have a new number 9. What have I been saying, you guys? All summer I've been saying we're quietly having a good window. What did we need when we come into this window? We needed a right centre-back. We've done that. Welcome Malik Chow. We need a right winger. We've done that. Welcome the quickest player in the Premier League last season, Anthony Elanga. We needed a younger goalkeeper, albeit he's on loan. But welcome Aaron Ramsdale. We needed better quality and depth in midfield. Welcome Jacob Ramsey. Now we needed another striker. We do need two, in my opinion. But we have brought in probably the striker that caught the most attention last season, Nick Woltemade. Second thing I want to say, thank you to everybody that acknowledged my video 3 months ago. Everybody commented and saying you called it, well done. Just want to say thank you for the acknowledgement. Honestly, I really appreciate you guys. But I've just got one more final thing to do before we get on this video. Would it really be a video or an announcement video of a signing without, can you see, Nick Woltemade, number 9? But the last thing I want to say, right, when the news broke yesterday, I was at my brother's because I was seeing my little niece and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go home, I'm going to jump on a live and we're going to talk about it. All the way home, I was thinking in my head, oh, this live's going to be great. We're going to have loads of people involved. We're going to talk about Nick, we're going to talk about this new signing, how he can tactically fit in Newcastle United. And then I got home and I got in my little chair, got in my desk, and I bottled it. Didn't have the courage to do a live. And the reason being is because I've never done one before. So I was thinking in my head, right, what if I'm just sitting there, nobody's watching? Like, what do I do? Do I just speak? Or like, what would you do in that situation? So I absolutely bottled a live show last night because we had the Champions League draw, which is incredibly exciting. And I've got that involved in another video coming out today. I just couldn't comprehend me just sitting there with no viewers trying to speak to myself. And it's kind of like what I'm doing now, but I'm recording myself. I think I'm going to shut up now because I want to get on with this video and I'm boring you to death. But I did want to do a live last night, but the mango bottled it. Today we're going to be celebrating Nick Woltemade. I want to make it a fun enjoyment video because we are going to talk about him briefly. I want to talk about why it didn't work out at Werder Bremen and how Stuttgart get the best out of him. I want to look at his shot map, look at his positional play so you can tactically see what you're going to get from this striker turned creative number 10. Whatever he is, he's a hybrid. But I also want to give you my view on how Eddie Howe improved Alexander Isak's box awareness and why he can deploy the same sort of method with Nick Woltemade. There will be another video out today which will be Leeds Newcastle United preview. But as always, guys, don't forget to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm actually buzzing that I recommended this player 3 months ago and we're signing him. But I did say we would sign the striker. I did say we would have a good end of the season. Do I think there's going to be a little bit of teething as he adapts to the Premier League? Absolutely. And that's what I'm going to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is just what you're going to get out of his style. Now, I'm not going to go through this because I've already spoken about what's on the screen at the minute. So if you want to read it, it's there to read about. But look, you're not getting a Strand Larson type of player. Nick Woltemade isn't a traditional number 9. He's more of a hybrid. He likes to drop deep, create, get on the ball. He's a silky dribbler, comfortable in tight spaces. He's unbelievably agile for a man of 6'6". He can twist, he can turn. His technical ability is outrageous for a man of his size. He likes to operate between the lines, which is very unusual for a man of his size. He can lose markers, create separation, can create chances for himself as well as others. He's technically outrageous and just a fascinating player to watch because if you'd never seen him before and just looked at him, you would think he's just a big lump of a target man, but he's not. He's a high volume dribbler and that's all you've got to know about him. Is he the finished article? No, he's probably not. There is some areas for improvement. His flair, I love his flair. I would never ever take that away from him. But sometimes he does overcomplicate things in the final third. His shot selection and location can improve, and that's going to be our main topic today. And then although his back to goal is massively improved since the beginning of the season till now, he's too easily forced away from goal. Sometimes he lets defenders bully him into areas he doesn't want to be. So when he's close to the goal and he's got his back to goal, you'll be forced out wide when really he's in possession, so he should be manipulating the situation. But these are all areas for improvement that Eddie Howe can certainly improve with him. We've seen Eddie Eddie Howe do it from time to time with probably every single player. I want to look at some of these statistics because they were really pleasing on the eye. He had 46 shots, 22 of those on target, which makes it a rate of 51%. He was averaging 2.56 shots per 90, which is very pleasing. He had an expected assists of 3.4, which again is very pleasing. He ranked third for the most key passes in Stuttgart's squad with 36. He also created a lot of chances, 78 shot creating actions throughout the season. He created 10 goal creating actions throughout the season. He averaged the most touches in the penalty area for Stuttgart at 154, and he averaged the third most successful take-ons with 31. So you can even see by the statistics how much of a well-rounded profile he's got. He's comfortable in possession because he's averaging a lot of successful take-ons. He creates for his teammates, and he has a high volume shot per 90. So he's doing all the right things is what I'm trying to say. But he's had a rapid rise these past couple of seasons. I mean, just 2 seasons ago, might even been 3 seasons ago, he was playing the 4th tier of German football. And when he got his breakthrough with Werder Bremen, it didn't really work out for him. So he moved to Stuttgart on a free, and he was absolutely unbelievable for them. I don't even think Stuttgart expected an impact so quickly. So why didn't it really work out with Werder Bremen? Now I wanted to talk about Werder Bremen's style of play during the 2023-24 season. They attempted the 5th most long balls in the Bundesliga, and they're a direct counter-attacking team, a different kind of counter-attacking system Newcastle United. Newcastle United is all about manipulation of space and playing through the lines, whereas it was all about hitting a target man, and they were trying to use Nick Woltemade as a target man. So their direct style meant that Werder Bremen had the second least amount of touches in the final third, which prevented Nick Woltemade playing to his strengths, which is getting on the ball and expressing himself. He was only averaging 4 touches per 90 in the opposition box at Werder Bremen. Since he's arrived at Stuttgart, that's doubled to 8. His non-penalty XG per 90 shot was at 0.11 at Werder Bremen. It's now increased to 0.17 at Stuttgart. Now, I generally believe it's down to the style of play. Now, Sebastian Horner is one of the most innovative tactical managers you will come across in Europe. He changes his formation frequently. Nick Woltemade played in a 4-2-3-1 system, as well as a 4-3-3, as well as a 4-4-2. So Nick Woltemade would offer Eddie Howe that tactical flexibility. Because he's so technically very good, doesn't really matter what formation you play him in. As long as you give him the license to get on the ball and express himself, you will get the best out of Nick Woltemade. Now, I say this quite often in football, and I think some managers are going in the opposite direction. I do believe managers have to have their certain philosophy, their certain style, and give out instructions, but I also believe that they should allow their players, especially their forward players, a degree of freedom. I think players work best when they're able to find solutions. These are elite level players at the elite level. If you're very rigid in what they can do in their positional play, you're not going to get the best out of them. That's just my opinion. And I kind of feel like Sebastian Horner is very similar to Eddie Howe, especially when it comes to that forward play in that final third. And what I mean by that is because Sebastian Horner allows his players a degree of freedom. What I mean by a degree of freedom is just expressing himself on the ball, with and without the ball. So his style of play is not so rigid. So he give Nick Woltemade the freedom to be innovative and find solutions with and without the ball. So the way Stuttgart lined up is in possession, they reverted to a back 3, and they kind of had 2 holding midfielders, and then beyond that they had 5 advanced players. Remember what I was talking about in my match preview when I said a lot of clubs these days defend with 5, attack with 5? That's exactly what Sebastian Horner does with Stuttgart. It's more of a back 3 with 2 holding midfielders, and then he's got 5 players expressing themselves. So if they did lose possession, he's still got 5 players that can defend the counter attack. But what that meant was it allowed them to create central overload, which also created short passing lanes, which is absolutely ideal for Nick Woltemade's style, because his link-up play, his spatial awareness, his technical ability allows him to thrive in short and quick combinations. Now, what I also think benefits Nick Woltemade coming to Newcastle is Stuttgart's attacking shape was highly fluid. This allowed Woltemade to drop deep, go wide, rotate with teammates, but it also pulled defenders out of their position and created space for runners. Now, keep that in mind, because I've got a little technique we can use to get the best out of Anthony Elanga and Nick Woltemade. Keep on changing his name. I say Woltemade and then I say Woltemade, so I do apologize. So just to summarize, what I'm trying to say is Sebastian Horner and Eddie Howe are quite similar, maybe not tactically, but in terms of giving their players a degree of freedom. And I think that's where you get the best out of Nick Woltemade, because he's kind of not a traditional number 9, but he's a hybrid. He likes to drop deep. He wants to be in possession. He creates a lot of chances. He wants to be that guy that receives a ball at feet, turns, and create separation from his man, and that's where he does his business. Now, one thing I will say, if you're expecting somebody with elite level pace, he's not. He's got a decent sprint speed considering his size, but he's not quick at all. But what he is so very good at is understanding the pressure, moving, creating separation from the marker, finding himself a yard of space, using clever footwork in tight situations, manipulating defenders into drawing them into tackles before he has a wonderful drop of the shoulder and moves away from them. So he's going to get you off your seat with a bit of skill or just a bit of flashy, classy silkiness in his dribbling. It's honestly fascinating to watch if you haven't watched him before. But when I was saying he tends to drop deep, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Now, this is how I wrote how he can really build up partnerships on the pitch, so you can clearly see what he likes to do. He likes to operate in that left half space. Now, the way Newcastle United play, in simplistic terms, their left winger comes and roams inside to link up with the striker. The right winger is a player that provides more width. Now, because Nick Woltemade likes to position himself in that left half space, this could actually work well for Newcastle United because it does two things. When the left winger comes inside, Nick Woltemade has somebody to link up with, and also considering how freakishly good he is in possession, when he drops deep, the centre-backs can't afford him any space, so therefore they have to follow him to get touch tight. So what does that do? That brings centre-backs out of their position. That leaves a gaping hole between the right centre-back and the left centre-back, but it also leaves a gaping hole between the right centre-back and the left-back. Who was the quickest player in the Premier League last season? Anthony Elanga. He could be used as a weapon to exploit that space. So if I'm Eddie Howe, I'm looking at this and thinking, Elanga is an absolute frightening weapon with his pace. So I'm going to teach Elanga how to curve his runs and time his runs to manipulate space, because as soon as Nick Woltemade drops deep to receive the ball, Anthony Elanga should already be thinking about his run into space. Remember what I was said about profiles and partnerships create a successful team? This is the kind of partnership I would be looking to build. But because we also have our left winger inverting inside, it also allows Nick Woltemade and either Anthony Gordon or Harvey Barnes, whoever it is playing on the left, to rotate. When you've got fluid players rotating, instantly causes confusion to the opposition's defense, and that is how I would look to build this partnership. I hope that all makes sense to you all. And this is the kind of thing that Eddie Howe will be looking to do on the training pitch. Look, when you look to improve players, it's not about improving how they kick a ball or control a ball. Yes, you can tell them to move the ball or receive the ball on the half turn, but players this ability, this level, know how to do that. On the training pitch, it's all about creating those partnerships, and I think this is exactly what Eddie Howe will be working on. Now, I want to talk about how Eddie Howe improved Alexander Isak inside the penalty area and how he can exactly do the same thing with Nick Woltemade. So I'm going to start by looking at his shot map, but I also want to say that, look, I think there might be some teething problems at start just until they build up that chemistry, build up that partnership, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope he hits the ground running straight away, but he's a striker. Strikers miss chances at times. Every single striker in the world does it. So when he does miss a chance, don't get on his back. I don't think you will, but I just want to make that point because every single striker misses chances. Now, I had a look at the big chances missed last season for Stuttgart. You only missed 11. Now, if you look at other strikers in other leagues and in the Bundesliga, they're missing like 25 plus big chances. So there is a lot of pros when it comes to his finishing as there is weaknesses. So I'm going to tell you about what I find, and I've spoke about this before, but when we look at his shot map, let's look at the positive sides. He overperformed his XG. He scored 12 goals with an XG of 10.3. What do I always say about my strikers? I want them to shoot from central areas because it gives you the best opportunity of scoring. So when you get your striker running in the box, you want him really in those central areas because he's got a bigger target to hit. So it's less likely that the goalkeeper saves it. And when it comes to Nick Woltemade, his striking style is more placement over power. So I love the fact that most of his goals come from central areas. And as you can see, he only had one shot from outside the box all season last season. Now, I actually look at that as a positive. It means he's not very wasteful taking shots from outside the box. He has the belief and the confidence to take on his man and put himself in a better position. So I actually quite like that. And as you can see, he attempted 16 headers, 6 shots with his left foot, 24 with his right foot, which is quite a nice variety. Now, when you look at that shot map, it also tells you that that when he's close to goal, that's when he's at his most dangerous. Now, I put that down to the way he strikes a ball. Of course, he can hit the ball with power, but he just prefers to place it. So it means that he's relying on one technique. So the further away from goal he is, the more difficult he finds it to score. That's why you'll see him do a lot of dummy shots to put himself in a better position, which I don't mind because he's manipulating the defender. When he's got a defender pinned up in that box in a one-on-one situation, can be absolutely devastating. If I'm on Eddie Howe's coaching staff, I'm looking at that and thinking, right, he's pretty good centrally. Gets a lot of shots off per 90. He's hitting the target at a good rate. Where can I improve that? How can I get him from hitting 12 goals a season to 20 goals a season? And I'm going to tell you how. Well, I'm going to do my best to tell you how. That's all you can ask for. I'm not perfect, but I try my best. But one thing I found with Alexander Isak, and any of you guys that have watched my videos religiously will know this. So why do I believe that Eddie Howe can make Nick Woltemade an even better finisher? Throughout my videos, I've consistently spoke about how Eddie Howe made Alexander Isak better inside the box. Now, go back to what I was saying before. The truth is, at this level, managers don't need to tell a player how to control or kick a ball. It's all about movement, manipulation of space, playing to a player's strengths, avoiding weaknesses as much as possible, and building partnerships on the pitch. The biggest improvement I've seen with Alexander Isak is his box awareness. And I've said this before, strikers become more clinical between the posts. Now that's obvious to say, but it's true. Now this is where I think Eddie Howe has improved Alexander Isak, because he's told him and showed him how to get in good positions in the 6-yard box. During the 2023-24 season, Alexander Isak scored 4 goals inside the 6-yard box. So he ranked 25th in Europe's top 5 leagues for goals inside the 6-yard box. Before the 2024-25 season, Alexander Isak did an interview and said him and Eddie Howe were working on one of his weaknesses. One of his weaknesses being first-time finishes close at the goal. Now, during the 2024-25 season, so last season, Alexander Isak doubled the amount of times he scored inside the 6-yard box. So he scored 8 goals inside the 6-yard box, which was the second highest in Europe's top 5 leagues, only behind Strasbourg's Malu and Omega, who scored 9. So what I'm saying is Nick Woltemade's box efficiency is actually really good. He has plenty of touches, plenty of shots. His goals come from central areas. He has a nice variety in his finishes, but only 3 out of his 12 goals came inside the 6-yard box. This is how Eddie Howe can take him from a 12-goal striker to a 20-goal striker, in my opinion. But that will take a little bit of time. So that's what I would personally be doing to get more out of Nick Woltemade. When it comes to outside the box, I'd be like, enjoy yourself, go and express yourself, play with that element of freedom, because that's where you're going to get the best out of him. If you want him just to be a target man, a hold-up striker, and not get involved in play, you're really not going to get the best out of him. This is why I think his profile differs to somebody like Strand Larsen. Strand Larsen's decent in possession, but he hasn't got that technical ability and that ability to manipulate in tight spaces like Nick Woltemade. So he will take risks with his dribbling, but that's okay. So he will lose possession from time to time, but the reward outweighs the risk of the majority of the time. And that's what you want in an Eddie Howe system. You want players to take risks, especially flair players. And it's okay for flair players to do it, because if you lose the ball in the final third, the likelihood of you conceding from that is very low. So I wouldn't take anything away from his game outside the box, because you want him to be that maverick, that player that expresses himself. Obviously, there's got to be an element of positional play and working on patterns and things. That's okay, because Stuttgart did the same, but just allow him that degree of freedom, because Toon fans will absolutely love it. Just to finish up, I just want to compare him to Alexander Isak, and when I was saying he likes to get involved in play, you can clearly see that through the statistics. Now, Isak might have had more assists last season, but Nick Woltemade actually created more chances. So I put that down to the strikers not putting away his chances. So when it comes for me, looking at how many times a player creates, I don't look at assists. You look at how many shots are creating, but also expected assists. You can provide the ball on a plate for a striker, but if he misses a target from 2 yards out, that's not really your fault. We know Alexander Isak's involvement in the build-up phase, and the fact that Nick Woltemade is averaging more touches per 90 just shows his comfortability in possession. The only resemblance he's got is with Strand Larsen is his size, because you can clearly see the difference in the build-up phase from Nick Woltemade to Jorgen Strand Larsen. So what I'm trying to say is, we're not getting an exact replication of Jorgen Strand Larsen, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Alexander Isak, because I truly believe that we will sign another striker, whether that be Johan Wissa or whether it be another surprising striker like Nick Woltemade. But look, enough of me talking. I've blabbered on for so much. I could actually sit here and blabber on for another hour, but I don't want to keep your time. But I want to hear your thoughts. Are you excited about this signing? Do you expect a bit of teething as he adapts to the Premier League? let me know. It looks like he's not going to be available for Leeds, but that will give them time to get used to his surroundings and his new environment. But let me know your thoughts in the below. But if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share the video if you want as well. But last thing I want to say, Nick Woltemade is a Geordie. We've made a signing. Every single one of you should be smiling and should not leave this video without hitting that like button. But as always, guys, away the lads. Come on, Nick Woltemade.